County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Look up in the sky. There it is. The tallest tower in Murfreesboro. This is WGNS, FM, AM, and worldwide at wgnsradio.com.
We're broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios.
Visit mte.com.
Middle Tennessee Electric, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Talking with Rutherford County newsmakers
since 1947.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
Right now that time, 8:19. You're tuned to WGNS on this Wednesday morning. This morning in studio from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, we have got with us today Sergeant Austin Watson. How are you this morning?
I'm good, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Sounds like traffic was pretty bad out there this morning on, what was it, I-24 or something?
Yeah, there was a wreck with injuries this morning out there at the 75 East, I think. Vehicle went off the right side.
Man, there's a lot of wrecks on like I-24 every morning, every afternoon. I mean, it's rough sometimes.
Yeah, with growth comes, pains. The interstate is 4 lanes wide open between us and Nashville, so we see a lot of that, people coming and going. It's part of it.
840, I mean, less traveled. But, man, there are wrecks there, too. There's everywhere.
Yeah, well, it seems like everybody was like, oh, we'll go 840 and try to get around. And then everybody apparently got smart. And, yeah, the 840 corridor, 24 corridor, it's something to be looked at. I don't know how you deal with it because there's so much traffic out there. If you start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock at night, it's wall-to-wall traffic.
There's not an easy solution.
No, there's not, and hopefully, as time goes on, the state, TDOT and THP and us can really look at that and go, hey, what's best for our community?
Now, have you been here a long time? Have you seen that growth?
I've been here. Well, I've worked for the Sheriff's Office for 9 years. I've lived back in Murfreesboro since 2015, I think. So. Yeah. 10, 11 years, so I've seen a lot of the growth in the last few years, yes.
And of course, what's crazy is, that UT study predicts around 700,000 residents in Rutherford County. It's about a year like 2045 or something crazy, but that's nuts.
I can believe it. You walk around a lot you can't walk in Rutherford County. You can drive a lot in Rutherford County, and there are just neighborhoods after neighborhoods, and I can say UT is probably close to that number. I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, when it comes to all these new neighborhoods, especially the ones that are in the county, you guys are the ones who are patrolling those areas, enforcing laws in those areas. I mean, because those are outside the city limits. There's a lot of new neighborhoods, though.
There are a lot of new neighborhoods, and that starts to present a challenge for the Sheriff's Office. But, I mean, we take it one day at a time. The guys and girls that work patrol, and we actually just got a grant to start a traffic unit, so that's going to help take some stuff off their plate. But our patrol deputies, those men and women, do a great job at taking care of the county with what we have.
Now, the main thing that you do day in and day out, that's traffic, right?
Yes, so I'm the supervisor over our traffic unit now, so that's getting up and ready to go, and we're getting people and trying to help curb some of the wrecks, the serious injury wrecks, the fatal wrecks, DUI enforcement, just trying to get people to, hey, slow down, stay off your phones, pay attention so you don't wreck, and, we can do all that kind of stuff.
I think, 3 months ago, I guess back in November, you got an award from the MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving organization, because of all the arrests, the DUI-related arrests made and the educational type aspects of things that you do each day, but you got that award for the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be nominated for that, and I took home, they called it the DRE, Drug Recognition Expert Outstanding Award. That's been my passion in law enforcement. I love impaired driving enforcement, but the biggest thing I've enjoyed from that side of my career is giving back and teaching. So I teach all levels of DUI enforcement up to drug recognition. And when you teach people and empower people to do that part of the job, that's always a good, fun part of it.
I think I read, and that award in particular, that was for, I forgot the calendar year, maybe it was last year, but whatever it was, 361 DUI related arrests were made.
Yes, for Rutherford County. So we took home as the county the outstanding DUI enforcement award, and our men and women do a great job at trying to curb DUI arrest, and that's it's just part of it, and they do a really good job at that.
And again, that's just the number of DUI arrests made by the sheriff's office.
Yeah, that doesn't count THP, MPD, Smyrna, Laverne. I think, and you can't hold me to this number, you're looking at close to 800 probably in the county a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
Oh, yeah. Well, a population of 375,000 people, and then you think of people that drive through here from all the other counties. I mean, they're going to be there.
Yeah, for sure. What is the oddest or the strangest DUI-related arrest that you've ever, been a part of, seen over the years? Because sometimes folks get a little crazy when they're high or drunk or something like that.
Sure. There's not one that really stands out. It's not the ones that you arrest. It's the wrecks that you go to that hit the most, where people hit somebody else when they're impaired and they cause them serious injury or a fatal wreck. We see impaired driving as a cause in a lot of fatal wrecks. And it's hard when you go to those and someone lost their life on the roadway because somebody decided to drive impaired that night.
I know part of that award that you received, I think there was a 24% reduction in the number of fatal DUI-related accidents.
Which shows the hard work that not only us are doing, but the whole county is doing, because we have to take all of our numbers from the city and the county, because we're the law enforcement agency that does the whole county. So we have I think I've talked about it before being on here, the Rutherford County Traffic Safety Task Force. That is a huge benefit to this county, because we get all the agencies in a room and we talk about, hey, where are we having trouble? How can we do some DUI enforcement? How can we do speed enforcement? How can we do, the city just did a running the red lights, which is great, because how many intersection wrecks does the city have all the time? So that's been really good, and that's been a lot of how we've been able to reduce those wrecks and how we've been able to reduce fatalities.
Somebody texted in talking about how many times we hear about the DUI fatalities, and the person who is arrested for DUI is barely scratched or bruised, but the person they hit, they were killed. In those types of cases, and first of all, is that the case? Is that usually what you see?
90% of the time. There are some times when the impaired driver does also lose their life. You see that a lot in single vehicle. But when you start talking 2, 3, 4 vehicles, it seems like the person who is impaired they just walk away without a scratch, but then somehow the other person didn't. I can't explain the science to that. I wish I could. But that is true. It's a sad reality. So
with that 24% reduction in those number of fatal DUI accidents, I guess I would look at it as that's a drop in the number of houses I have to go to at midnight to tell them their son, their spouse, whoever it was who was killed, died in a wreck.
And that's not a fun part of the job. Tennessee Highway Patrol, they work all the fatal wrecks, but when they go do death notifications, of course, they call us to come help. And I've done a few of those in my career, and I can say that's not a fun part of the job.
I can imagine. That would be the absolute worst part of the job.
Yes, it's and it's a sad part. And Buddy Lewis, who's the director of THSO, he really hits. A life lost on the roadways is still a life lost. That is someone, a brother, sister, husband, wife, you name it. Somebody is not going to have Thanksgiving. They're not going to have Christmas. And, they're no longer going to be that because either A, somebody made a bad choice, or B, just circumstances happened.
Have you had to go to those court proceedings, those trials, wherever, that involve a DUI driver that hit and killed somebody?
I've never had to go to those. Really, when it comes to trials, it just depends on how involved you were. Because usually those, as the county, if it's a fatal wreck, we're going to just hold the scene until THP gets there, and THP will take over the investigation. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But it just depends on what you saw, how you saw it, and if you have anything to give that would help with the conviction on that. But most of the time that becomes a THP, like their investigation.
Now, I guess on the flip side of all of this, something you don't hear a whole lot about is the person who is drinking and driving, doing drugs and driving, who caused the fatal accident. On that end of things, I mean, their family, the surviving spouse, the kids, all of those people involved. But the guy or girl driving who caused the fatal accident, their life is over in a lot of ways too. I mean, this hurts everybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stigma to that. There's going to be news media coverage. There's a lot that they took a life. I mean, it is vehicular homicide. It is a form of homicide, and unfortunately, they will have to not only be booked into jail, but eventually they could spend time in jail for multiple years, depending on what happens.
What is that aspect of it like? Because I mean, that's got to be a piece of that educational tool when you talk to students or when you talk to others about DUI and who it all affects.
Yeah. Big thing that I try to end most of my classes with is, hey, you got to go back into your communities and be willing to stop that impaired driver, because you really think about it. The big part of me for here in Rutherford County is I have family and friends that drive these roads every day.
Yeah.
And if I can help them out on top of helping everybody else out, then I'm doing my job. And really it's about keeping that innocent family from having to deal with that. Because even if it doesn't result in a fatality, a wreck still takes a car away. It's a single mom you hit that now can't get to work, that now can't provide for her family. Or it was the only car that a family had, because nowadays cars are so expensive. And so it's a lot of the times when we get into reducing crashes is we want people to be safe on the roadway so they can go about their days and really just, not have to worry about that kind of stuff.
When you look at the bigger picture of how many people are impacted by a DUI fatality, I mean, it's a lot of people.
I mean, you're looking at the people that are involved, the families that are involved, to first responders, to community members that from the mayor's office all the way up, because I mean, that's impacting our community. Those are things that first responders don't want to deal with. That is, part of the job, and it's hard, but you're having families that are really impacted on that, and that they are now forever changed.
Yeah. And some families, I mean, after a incident like that, they've got to move. I mean, because sometimes it's the breadwinner of the household that causes the DUI crash or that is killed in the DUI crash. I mean, you're talking about reshaping somebody's entire life and their future.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get into insurances. Is insurance going to pay it? There's a lot of things that go into when we get into crashes, especially fatal crashes that are impaired related, that a lot of people don't really think about. They're just like, oh, well, that's another death on the roadway. That's unfortunate. And it's impacting not only just the people that were involved, but their families and lifestyles. And again, if let's say you're a 2-person family and now you're a single parent, you've got a 3-year-old at the house, and now you're trying to figure out how to be a single parent because the other person is deceased or in jail.
And you've seen that, I'm sure, many times.
Yeah, and it's very much unfortunate. And I have a young daughter at home, and I couldn't imagine if my wife got into a fatal wreck. My life would completely go upside down 180. So I can only imagine what it's like for those other families that struggle when it happens.
Are sobriety checkpoints part of that, I guess, educational or that awareness of drunk driving? Is that part of the aspect of it?
Yeah, so THP really heads that up for us in the county through the task force, but they do 4 a year. So we just actually did one last Friday on Barfield Crescent. DUI checkpoints are good because we are able to do enforcement, but also education. You know, people are like, oh, you're out here. What are you out here for? Oh, we're looking for DUIs. And the number one thing we get is like, oh, did you have to like tell them? Like, we knew it was happening, but why did you have to put it out in the media and stuff? So it's a great way to educate, like, hey, don't drink and drive. Or you might get the people who had maybe 1 or 2 beers at dinner and they aren't too impaired. Like, they're not impaired enough to not to drive, but you're like, hey, maybe next time get someone else drive or call an Uber. So it's not all about enforcement. It is also education.
Again, with us this morning from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, we have Sergeant Austin Watson. And with these sobriety checkpoints, I know one of the questions we got, and this gets asked often, I'm sure you get asked this a lot too, and that is if somebody sees a DUI checkpoint ahead of them, what prevents them from making a U-turn, turning into a side street in order to avoid that checkpoint?
So they are allowed a turnaround point as long as they do a legal U-turn. They are more than welcome to not go through the checkpoint. Constitutionally, that has to be allowed. So they are allowed to turn around if they want to, or if they want to go down a side street and not deal with it, they don't have to.
Do you ever see somebody doing that and you know, out of the corner of your eye, and obviously they're not driving very good, so you send somebody after them? I mean, can you do that?
So there's nothing stopping us from going and following them, but then that has to be built on reasonable suspicion or probable cause. Avoiding a checkpoint is not enough per the Supreme Court to say, hey, that is enough to stop that person, because sometimes people just they don't want to deal with law enforcement, and I understand that completely. But if we do send someone after them, they have to build their own reasonable suspicion or probable cause to stop that vehicle.
And, you know, during these checkpoints, I can't imagine anything more educational than going through that, you know, at a slow speed, and you see an officer over there giving somebody a field sobriety check, you know, right there on the spot. I mean, that's got to be humbling, of course, for that person, but man, everybody sees that. So, I mean, that's a pretty big educational piece.
And we hope that it's a preventative piece. Like, as you come through and you know, you don't get sent to what we call the secondary side to do field sobriety and stuff like that, you're seeing that, hey, this is, if I do make that choice later on down the road, that is something that I could be doing, and that's something I don't want to be doing, so maybe I shouldn't make that choice.
And these checkpoints are usually done on fairly popular roadways, but they're done usually after 10 p.m. And I think, at least it seems like, there's more drunk drivers or more arrests made after 10 p.m. for those out there drinking and driving. Is that true?
So there's a theory. I believe that impaired drivers are on the road 24/7. With the drinking problem and the drug driving problem, there is always a potential for there to be an impaired driver on the road. But yes, we see more DUIs in the later hours, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. And that's just normal societal behavior. You know, people are getting off on their weekend. You know, like us, we work 4 days a week. So you're Thursday people. Fridays and Saturdays, you know, we got football games, basketball games. The Olympics are going to be this year, the World Cup. So you see a lot of that on the weekends, but they still do occur during the week. So, but yes, they're more happening on the weekends, and when we do our sobriety checkpoints, they're usually on Fridays or Saturdays.
Are you seeing more people out there who are using drugs and driving versus the ones who are drinking and driving?
It's all availability. Alcohol DUIs are just more prevalent because alcohol is legal. As we see marijuana become more legal in the states, that Colorado is a great example. They had an increase, and I don't know the exact numbers, but they had a major increase when they legalized marijuana because people drove high, right? So as we see that come in society, we will see alcohol become not the highest, but alcohol is just because of availability, but people still do drive impaired on drugs.
Somebody asked, with the marijuana, Are you seeing arrests that are made, DUI-related arrests that are made, and they're because of the person getting high on marijuana?
Absolutely. Especially when we start teaching about drug driving, marijuana has the same effect that alcohol can have. Just there's nothing in the eyes of what we call nystagmus. But think about this: you drink your coffee every day, and it changes you just a little bit because it gives you that kick. Anything that you take into the human body that can impair your ability to drive is a substance that is impairing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, it's all about how much you've ingested, when you've ingested it, and how your body is taking that substance into your body. Like, as people take prescription drugs every day and they drive fine, but let's say they take too much of their prescription that day because they're just having a bad day, and all of a sudden it affects them differently. That's what we're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So think about it this way: I drink 2 beers, but I'm okay because I drink 2 beers every day, and I'm not really showing a lot of signs. I might smoke, let's say, a gram of marijuana a day. But let's say I smoke 2 grams of marijuana today and it's affecting me differently. So it's all about tolerance and how your body is affected. State law says it has to mentally and physically impair you. So it has to change the way you are for it to be a DUI. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I like to teach it that way. It is still an impairing substance. It just depends on how it's impairing you at the time of the stop.
Do you sometimes pull people over and it's obvious they're actively smoking a joint right there while they're driving?
Oh, it's becoming more and more prevalent, especially as we get into, and that'll be done in July, but the derivatives, your THCA, your THC8, Delta 8, Delta O, Delta A's, all these derivatives that have come from hemp that still impair you the same way as the Delta 9 that's legal, that you can buy, is they're smoking it thinking, oh, hey, this is legal, I can have this, but it's still impairing your ability to drive.
It's like buying a beer and drinking that on the way home. I mean, that's
cracking
still
it right
illegal.
open and driving, which is no bueno either, but,
Does that still happen often? Because, in the older, even in the 80s, you would see, like, let's say somebody gets finished with a hard days of work and they stop and buy a beer or two and they drink it on the way home. I mean, does that still happen today? Even with all the education out there?
Very rarely. Like, I would say probably in the last 2 or 3 years, I have not seen a lot of that. Now, I have gotten a couple phone calls like, hey, I've seen this. Like, what do I do with it? But otherwise, I mean, just wait till you get home.
Yeah.
I understand having bad days, but just wait another 15 minutes or 20 and then just crack it at home and drink at the house.
That makes more sense.
It does.
It's a responsible thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
But those who are drinking and driving, I mean, they're not part of being responsible, I guess.
No, and it's hard because we understand people have bad days. I mean, there's sometimes I've done a couple DUIs where they left the house because they got into an argument, and then they got into a crash, and they were trying to do the right thing because they didn't want to be in an argument at home, but they weren't too good to drive either. So, I've always applauded them. Hey, I appreciate that, but now we have to deal with this. And so it's not always like people just, oh, I just wanted to drive. Like, sometimes it's just a necessity for something else that's happening. So,
it seems like in today's society, there's so many preventative mechanisms already in place that should prevent you from drinking and driving, like Uber, Lyft. I mean, they're readily available, and all you have to do is pull out your phone, but people don't do that sometimes.
Well, and I kind of understand it because as society gets more expensive, Uber and Lyft are great in a city when you've got 2-3 miles to go and that's it. But like, if I were to go to here and let's say, 15-20 miles out in the county, that's going to get expensive quick. So I understand, both sides of it as, yeah, it's great in a city, but if you don't got that cash flow to really do that, then that can, which it's cheaper than getting a DUI. Don't get me wrong on that, but I can understand the logic behind it.
And then I guess you have to figure out a way to go get your car in the morning before work in a lot of situations.
Yeah, that becomes, people are like, well, it's 7 a.m. and I got to be at work at 8 and I don't have a car and I could lose my job. And it's a tough spot to be in.
I know that TBI has really talked a lot about fentanyl today and how there's fake pills out there and they're being sold on the street in huge numbers. Are you seeing that a lot in the traffic stops you make where you recover fake pills that are, they test for fentanyl?
Not recently. Pill presses and a lot of that kind of stuff. I saw it back up 2-3 years ago, but I don't do as much. I don't see as much drug work in the traffic side, but it's out there. People are pressing fake depressants, fake stimulants, and they're mixing in fentanyl with it every time. And you just never know what you're going to get if you're buying illegal drugs.
And the person who's using those illegal drugs, they're buying them illegally, even if there are prescriptions for all of these drugs out there, but not the ones mixed with fentanyl. Seems like the user, if they survive taking it, they would know right away, well, this doesn't feel the same as I usually do when I take this.
Yeah, the way drugs work, and my very limited knowledge of it, I'm no doctor or nurse, but the way fentanyl affects the body versus the way, let's say, your anti-anxiety medicine affects you is totally different. Like, there's a low, but there's not that big of a low. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and really, we have a team here that is for opioid prevention. I think they were on I think Lieutenant Rogers and Captain Davis were probably on a couple months ago. And they do a really good job, and they have done a great job at getting people into recovery and getting people to reduce overdoses.
With anxiety, I know you mentioned that just a second ago. I know anxiety numbers, the number of doctor visits for that reason, anxiety and depression went up during COVID. Did you start seeing more people who were maybe illegally buying anxiety medicine, the Xanaxes out there, and driving on those more often?
Not really. To say that we're seeing a lot of the fake depressant pills, I haven't seen it in my experience. It happened more before COVID in my experience. They were making fake Xanax, fake clonazepam because they were able to get the chemical makeup off of the internet. You can get anything off the internet nowadays, which is wild. But they were pill pressing, and it was basically like, hey, this is a Xanax, but it's not a Xanax, but it does the same things as a Xanax. So, but nowadays, the pills and pharmacology and pharmacies are so available, you really don't see that much anymore. But I can't tell you 100%.
So you've got these at-home drug labs, if you will, people making these illegal drugs in their garage or wherever they're making them. I mean, in reality, that's scary in itself right there.
And the thing is the way they're making them, they got the chemical makeup from the internet.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, with the fentanyl, they're putting it in there, and then they're dabbing a little bit of fentanyl in there, and all of a sudden it's an overdose.
And they have no idea in reality what they're doing, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back. If you have any questions, feel free to text those in, 615-893-1450. Again, with us this morning from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, we have Sergeant Austin Watson. And again, we'll take a short break and then be right back.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
At the Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street, we believe in more than just great deals. Every purchase you make helps Greenhouse Ministry serve over 70 families a day, offering hope and changing lives in our community. From name brand clothing to household items or even large appliances, you'll find everything you need at prices that will fit your budget. Plus, 100% of the proceeds go back to the ministry. Visit the Garden Patch Thrift Shop today across from the tall NHC building in downtown Murfreesboro, where shopping changes lives.
Hi, this is Amanda from Animal City, inviting you to come do business with our family. We are delighted to have just celebrated our 35th anniversary, and that is all thanks to you, our wonderful customers. We are pet lovers too. and we personally select every treat and toy, ensuring it's the same quality that we give our own pets. Stop by Animal City and get the best quality pet gear in town. Animal City is at 919 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro.
When I eat healthy, I can eat at Demas's. When I want to eat unhealthy, I can eat at Demas's. If I'm in the mood for pasta, I go to Demas's. If I want steak, I go there. It does not matter what I'm in the mood for. This is Peter Demas. The only thing we don't have is fried food. So it's very easy when you want to take a group out and there's that veto power person who's like, I don't want this. Well, we usually will have something that they want because we have such variety on our menu. The only thing we don't have is fried food. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit recyclerightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you. That's recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, it's all on you. Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Go to recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
South Central Bank has 2 CD specials that will help your money grow. South Central Bank has a 5-month CD with an annual percentage yield of 4.15% or a 25-month CD with an annual percentage yield of 3.8%. 2 great ways to put your money to work. You choose the term that works best for you. $500 minimum balance to obtain the APY. Stop by any of our convenient South Central Bank locations today and take advantage of our 2 great rates. South Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Right now that time, 8:49. You're tuned to WGNS. This morning on the action line, we've got with us today in studio from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Austin Watson. And talking about crashes and all that, DUI-related accidents, what about speeding? I mean, are you seeing an uptick in that as our community grows?
Oh, yeah. Speeding, I think, still is the number one violation that most people are doing, because I mean, most of the time people are like, yeah, 10 over, that's fine, I can get away with 10 over, and most of the time you can. It just depends. But you know, people start pushing that 15, 20 over because I'm late, or I'm doing 30 over and I'm weaving in and out of traffic, and all of a sudden you cause a wreck at high speeds, and the faster you're going, the worse the wreck gets.
And driving fast, I mean, there was a time period where it seemed like there was a whole lot more street racing going on, things like that. And it seems like that kind of calmed down a little bit. Is that true?
Yes. So, and I think a lot of that has come because the legislator changed drag racing to a felony. So drag racing now is a Class E felony instead of a Class A misdemeanor. So it holds a greater penalty. And I think a lot of the people nowadays go, is it worth racing a little bit just to catch a felony?
I don't know if it's just me, but it also seems like the 16, 17-year-olds of today, they're not as interested in cars for whatever reason.
And it's interesting. I'm ways away from having that old of a kid, but you know, they don't care about classic cars. They don't care about souped up cars. You know, the Fast and Furious age, I feel like, is done with my generation. And you know, at the end of the day, a lot of this generation is technology driven.
And I'm sure there's going to be a turnaround in that at some point. Things always come back and go away. I mean, but right now it does really seem like that. It's different. It is. And
you know, it's great because I'm not catching a lot of juvenile drivers that are driving crazy. It's mostly adults. So that's
the 40-plus-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, I get it. Not the problem, but as society grows and changes, and commuting to work and being late and having life happen, you know, that's just gonna, as we increase as a society, that's just gonna be a part of it.
And I know off the air you were saying some of the biggest times of the day or the night when there are accidents. What are those biggest times for accidents usually?
So our data shows in Rutherford County that most wrecks occur from 3 p.m. in the afternoon to 8 p.m. in the afternoon. And really, the way I see that is because, you know, your people that work in the morning are coming home. And then your people who work, you know, your evenings to your swing shifts are going to work. So, you know, as we in the morning, we always hear about the morning commute. Oh, hey, 24 shut down. Well, your night shift and your day shift people really aren't that big when you add your night or your evening shift and your day shift people. So as you conglomerate there and people are going to work, they're going to eat, the people are getting off, more people on the road means more accidents.
And are there certain days of the week there's more accidents than others?
During the week is when we see it the most. Usually Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, it kind of fluctuates. But if you really think about it, as people get off work or going home, people on the weekends tend to stay at home a little bit more. They may not get out as much. So it's mostly during your commuting week.
You also hear a lot of people who are like superstitious and whatnot. They talk about, well, it's a full moon tonight. There's going to be more problems. And I think there's even been studies done at emergency rooms. There is an increase in people going to the ER whenever there's a full moon. Have you seen stuff like that here?
I'm not superstitious by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I'm not either. And I'd blame it on, well, that just means the skies are clear and it's nice out.
But I will say the one superstition I live by is a full moon.
Yeah.
And it's not the day of the full moon. It's the week of the full moon. And in my whole patrol career, the 3 weeks that are not a full moon, it may be, not as busy week. We got calls going on, but all of a sudden a week hits and it's like, what is happening? And all of a sudden you pull up your app and it's like, oh, it's a full moon week. I don't know what happens, but I am a first responder that believes in the full moon theory.
Are you seeing more like serious auto accidents during the full moon, more DUI arrests? I mean, what usually unfolds?
Everything.
Craziness everywhere.
Everything. I mean, from domestics to wrecks to just everything, mental health calls, you name it. All of a sudden, it's just like it drops out of the sky, and it's like, where did this come from?
That's wild.
Yes.
Now, I know yesterday or the day before, we had somebody on the air from MTSU talking about domestic violence, child abuse, elder abuse, all of that stuff. But do you see a lot of domestic violence cases working traffic? I mean, that are maybe in the car?
Yes. Every now and then, you will find what we call a rolling domestic. So, you're trapped in a 6x6 piece of metal with somebody and you're having a bad day. That does happen. People get angry. They start reaching for the steering wheel, pulling the steering wheel, calling us in a wreck, fighting in the car. That is a monthly occurrence.
Are those still some of the most dangerous calls? I mean, even though it's a traffic stop, I know it's not at somebody's house. Are those also because domestic violence, you always hear how unpredictable those situations can be.
Domestics, I think, still are up there as your most unpredictable calls, but slowly rising to number 2, I think, is your mental health calls.
Yeah.
As we start dealing with more mental health daily, because we have a unit that deals with that. Mental health becomes unpredictable just as much as a domestic.
And I guess it's all in the numbers. I mean, with the growing population, you're going to see more mental health problems.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's all about getting them help and hoping that you can talk them into getting help because they live with it. That's their normal and that's what they believe to be normal. And you've really got to show them that, hey, they need that help.
That's got to be tough because if you run across somebody who's driving wherever they're driving and they're schizophrenic, haven't taken their medicine in 2-3 weeks, a year, whatever the situation is, that's got to be a little rough trying to talk sense or negotiate with that person.
And that's where I'm a big proponent of the A-RIDE and the DRE program because we teach that part. Like, hey, mental health looks like drug impairment. And I'm a big proponent of CIT. Like, crisis intervention, I think, is great, especially for traffic unit people, because that drug, what you might think is drug impairment, is actually mental health. And it's hard to tell the difference unless you've had the training. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and our community service division has really stepped up, and they've started doing the Blue Envelope program. So people with autism and Asperger's and stuff like that, they have that blue envelope that they can hand to law enforcement that has all their packet. It has somebody they can call, and they're teaching those part of the population, like, hey, we don't want you to be seen as someone who is impaired or something else is going on. So that blue envelope program is something that we're starting that we're hoping can really curb that as well.
And we're already out of time, but if somebody wants to learn more about anything we talked about, if they want to maybe thinking about being a deputy or work in law enforcement, I guess just go to the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office website for starters.
Yeah, or the website or our Facebook page, social media. There's contact information on there that they can get a hold of somebody.
Sounds good. Again, with us this morning from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Austin Watson. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Time right now, 8:58.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Fresh cut greens and oven warm bread, jars of sweet jam will be red. Good food, good folks, flavors that shine from winter's chill to spring sunshine. Every Friday feel the spark. Rutherford County Market at Lane Agri Park.
Local farmers with local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market every Friday through April.
You'll find it there from frost to bloom the season sing. We're winter tough and welcoming spring. So bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
At the Lane Agri Park in Murfreesboro, it's time for the Recycled Minute.
Here's a way to save money.
Ideas to cut waste and recycle more in Middle Tennessee.
Rocky the Raccoon here with another good idea on recycling and reusing products. You can make a fun piggy bank, you and the kids, by decorating a clean plastic bottle. So you take that plastic bottle, you cut a coin slide in the top or the side of it, and then you let the kids paint it all up with whatever signature color they want to use. Then you can teach the kids about saving money and sustainability at the same time. Now that's priceless. I'm Rocky the Raccoon.
And that's today's Recycled Minute.
And I'll keep those ideas flowing.
With Rocky the Raccoon. Find the closest place to recycle near you by going to recyclerightTN.com.
That's what recycling's all about.
An undercover human trafficking operation in Murfreesboro is drawing attention across Rutherford County after a 2-day joint effort led to a felony arrest. Special agents with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, members of the Tennessee Human Trafficking Task Force, and the Murfreesboro Police Department placed decoy ads on websites known for commercial sex activity beginning January the 22nd. As a result of the operation, 24-year-old Jefferson Gomez was arrested and charged with 1 count of human trafficking for sexual servitude. Gomez remains held at the Rutherford County Jail on a $150,000 bond as of February the 17th. A constituents has been set for March 30th, with an arraignment scheduled for May 18th at 9:01. Investigators also work to identify potential victims, connecting several individuals with advocacy partners for support. Meanwhile, legislative scrutiny is intensifying in Rutherford County and the state capitol in Nashville. State Representative Tim Rudd of Murfreesboro has introduced House Bill 1698, aimed at holding executive branch employees accountable for testimony given before legislative committees. The proposal would allow committee chairs to require sworn statements and supporting documentation, with potential Class C misdemeanor perjury charges for intentional deception. The bill is now assigned to a House subcommittee, while its Senate companion advances through committee review, signaling possible changes in how state departments interact with lawmakers representing communities like Murfreesboro and Smyrna. That's all for now. I'm Dalton Barrett for WGNS Radio, part of your Good Neighbor Network, and I'll talk to you later.
The Good Neighbor Network, on air and online at wgnsradio.com. Rutherford County's most trusted source for local news. CBS Radio
those
News.
skiers. Some of them, we are told, have those emergency ski beacons on them, those avalanche beacons. And California Highway Patrol has helicopters that are fitted with receivers for those beacons. The problem is, in this weather, they simply cannot fly.
6 other skiers in the group have been located. Wildfires stretch all the way from Texas to Colorado. This couple was forced from their home in Elbert County.
Last few hours, we've just been trying to figure out what we need to maybe grab
essentials.
Watching the wind.
Those winds clocked at 77 miles an hour, blamed for near brownout conditions that triggered a 30-vehicle pileup on I-25. 4 people were killed. Meta's Mark Zuckerberg is getting ready to testify at court in L.A. today in a landmark trial on social media addiction and children. CBS News tech contributor Ian Scher.
Zuckerberg taking the stand happens at a time where we've already seen a lot of internal research spill into the public from whistleblowers who say that the company was aware of many of the impacts its technologies can have on people's mental health.
The FDA has just reversed course on Moderna's flu vaccine, a week after the agency rejected the pharma company's application for review of a new shot. It's agreed to look it over for possible approval. The Trump administration is appealing a judge's ruling that would return slavery exhibits to the Philadelphia home where 2 early U.S. presidents lived. CBS's Jim Crisula.
The exhibits detail information about enslaved people who lived at the site with Presidents George Washington and John Adams. Separately,